Olá, amigos. Lance Armstrong, ciclista americano, maior vencedor da Volta da França com 7 títulos. Ídolo, ele foi banido do esporte, teve as conquistas caçadas e virou vilão. O Sport TV Repórter de hoje apresenta um documentário conduzido pelo repórter Quentin McDermott e produzido pela rede de televisão ABC da Austrália. Você vai ver na íntegra, pela primeira vez no Brasil, os bastidores do maior escândalo de doping da história do esporte. Entrevistas exclusivas de companheiros de equipe e de médicos especialistas no controle de dopagem apontam Lance Armstrong como cérebro de um esquema que enganou governos, patrocinadores e o público. Você também vai ver como a omissão da União Ciclística Internacional, que rege o esporte no mundo, pode ter contribuído para o agravamento da situação.
Lance Armstrong salutes the crowd, 7 times a winner of the Tour de France.
No dia 22 de outubro de 2012, a União Ciclística Internacional deu o veredito. Lance Armstrong, heptacampeão da Volta da França, estava banido do ciclismo. A agência antidoping americana diz que Armstrong fez uso de drogas numa conspiração para ludibriar o público e enganar as autoridades.
The totality of the evidence is overwhelming. You're looking at the Bernie Madoff of sport. This is the biggest fraud in the history of sport. The biggest. He couldn't have done it alone.
When money's involved, big money, then of course the cheats come as well.
Lance Armstrong estreou no ciclismo como um jovem e impetuoso competidor, cheio de entusiasmo, mas limitado em suas habilidades gerais. O mentor dele foi o ciclista australiano Phil Anderson.
Did he strike you in those days as a cyclist who could eventually win the Tour de France?
For me, no. To be a good tour rider, you have to be a good time trialist and you have to be a good mountain climber. And he wasn't particularly strong in those two areas. To me, he didn't have what it took in those early years.
Lance Armstrong mudou para a equipe Motorola, assim como o neozelandês Stephen Stewart. Ele diz que em 1995, quando Anderson deixou a equipe, os atletas reclamavam que os concorrentes europeus estavam se dopando.
Did you talk with Lance Armstrong about the need to start using EPO to be competitive?
We had a discussion about it, yeah.
What did Mr. Armstrong say?
He did say, you know, if we're going to the tour, we've got to perform. We need the results.
What did that mean?
I think he just said he didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. You know, if we were going to be competitive, there was only one road to take.
Was there a discussion about doping in any way with Mr. Schwartz?
The only aspect that is true is that he was on the team. Beyond that, not true.
A alegação de doping surgiu em um processo de Lance Armstrong contra uma seguradora de Dallas, nos Estados Unidos, que pagou grandes bônus ao ciclista por vencer a Volta da França nos anos seguintes.
These are the checks making the first 2 payments under the contract. These checks represent when he won on the 4th and the 5th, making those payments for $1.5 million and then $3 million. Obviously, no one ever won 6
O advogado Jeff Tillotson representa a seguradora, que se recusou a pagar os 5 milhões previstos para a 6ª vitória de Armstrong na Volta da França em 2004.
Obviously, no one would want to guarantee a payment to an event that was fixed or to which someone was cheating, because that's a risk no one would take.
Well, was it fixed?
Well, my client, and we think now the evidence clearly shows that Lance Armstrong was in fact using performance-enhancing drugs for both the 4th, 5th, and 6th Tour de France races, which are the ones my clients had risk on. We also think the evidence we developed showed that he had been using performance-enhancing drugs long before we ever got involved, and even dating back to the beginning of his career. So in my client's mind, yes, those races were fixed.
Mr. Armstrong, my name is Jeff Tillotson. I represent...
Jeff Tillotson fez algo que a agência americana antidoping não conseguiu fazer.
Whether it's a blessing or a curse, I remain the only lawyer to have actually taken sworn testimony from Lance Armstrong and to have had him deny under oath with the penalty of perjury that he used performance-enhancing drugs.
You understand that although we're in the conference room of your lawyers, you are giving testimony as if you are in a court of law. Do you understand that?
Correct.
And that penalties of perjury attach to this deposition just like they would to a court of law proceeding.
Of course.
Did you, in fact, he recounts three...
Pela primeira vez, declarações juramentadas de Lance Armstrong e outras testemunhas-chave estão sendo exibidas. Essas provas serviram de base para outras investigações, como a da agência antidoping americana.
Armstrong has the advantage here. He's on the right side of these riders.
O sonho de Armstrong era vencer a Volta da França.
Now Armstrong goes on the left of the picture. Lance Armstrong in his first Tour de France. They all said he was too young, but he gets it off the line. Lance Armstrong.
No primeiro tour dele, Armstrong era o centro das atenções, mas 3 anos depois parecia o fim do sonho dele. Nesse filme da instituição de ajuda a pessoas com câncer, a Livestrong, Lance descreve o que aconteceu.
Excruciating headaches, blurry vision, coughing up of blood. Had been debating on whether or not I should go to the doctor for a long time, but finally went. He said, "Lance, I hate to tell you this, but you have advanced testicular cancer."
Look how young we all look, geez.
Os amigos mais próximos de Lance se reuniram, entre eles Betsy Andrew e o noivo dela, Frankie, que era próximo de Armstrong e competia na mesma equipe. Armstrong iria se consultar com os médicos e o que aconteceu a seguir chocou Betsy.
When the doctors came, I suggested we leave to give him his privacy, and he said, "That's okay, you can stay." So we stayed. The doctor started asking Lance a couple of banal questions, and then boom, have you ever used any performance-enhancing drugs? Lance, hanging onto his IV, rattled off EPO, testosterone, cortisone, growth hormone, and steroids. My eyes popped out of my head, and Frankie said, "I think we should leave the room." And we left the room. And Frankie and I had just been engaged 6 weeks previously, and I said, "That's how he got his cancer. If you are doing that, I am not marrying you."
Anos depois, Betsy e Frank e Andrew depuseram sob juramento sobre o que havia acontecido.
The doctor asked him a couple of questions, and then came the question, have you ever taken any performance-enhancing drugs? And Lance said yes. The doctor said, what were they? And he said, EPO, growth hormone, cortisone, steroids, and testosterone.
What is it Mr. Armstrong said in response to the doctor asking him about use of performance-enhancing drugs?
I don't know how the doctor phrased the question, but Lance's response was that he had taken EPO and testosterone and growth hormone and cortisone.
Também no hospital naquele dia estava Stephanie McKilvin, que trabalhava como representante de uma das maiores patrocinadoras de Armstrong.
After we were deposed, the day after, Stephanie called, sobbing. Stephanie told me that her husband was called into one of the higher-ups of the company, where he is vice president of global marketing for Oakley, one of Lance's sponsors. And Stephanie was told, if you make the company look bad, you're going to lose your job. And so we said, that's it. She's going to lie. She's going to lie. She's not going to say it happened.
Were you ever in a hospital room or other part of the hospital with Mr. Armstrong where he said anything about performance-enhancing drugs?
No.
Do you have any recollection of any doctor in your presence asking Mr. Armstrong if he used in the past any performance-enhancing drugs or substances?
No.
Okay.
Stephanie McKilvin deu sua declaração juramentada na sede da empresa patrocinadora na Califórnia, Estados Unidos. No ano anterior, do nada, ela havia recebido a ligação de uma lenda americana do ciclismo.
Stephanie? Yeah? This is Greg LeMond calling. Greg LeMond? Greg LeMond. Hi, Greg, how are you? How are you doing? I'm doing well. Hold on, Dylan.
Greg LeMond foi 3 vezes campeão da Volta da França. Ele insiste em dizer que nunca usou drogas. LeMond era brigado com Lance Armstrong por suspeitar que ele se dopara em 2004. LeMond e Stephanie McIlvaine conversaram sobre o que havia acontecido no hospital.
I'm not asking you to do anything you would never want to do, but, you know, if I did get down to where it was a lawsuit, would you be willing to testify, or? If I was subpoenaed, I would, because I'm not going to lie. You know, I was in that room, I heard it.
O que Stephanie não sabia é que Greg LeMond estava secretamente gravando a conversa.
Lance Armstrong's lawyers immediately backed off this issue and agreed in a written stipulation we presented to the panel that Stephanie McIlvaine had been untruthful under oath and had told 2 different stories about what happened in the Indiana University Hospital room.
Mesmo assim, Lance Armstrong e o médico insistiram que ele nunca havia perguntado ao atleta sobre o uso de drogas para melhora de desempenho.
Do you deny the statements that Miss Andrew attributed to you in the Indiana University Hospital?
100%, absolutely.
Did any medical person ask you while you were at the Indiana University Hospital whether you had ever used any sort of performance-enhancing drugs or substances?
No, absolutely not.
Can you offer, or can you help explain to me why Miss Andrew would make that story up?
Well, she said in her deposition she hates me.
Is it your testimony that Mr. Andrew was also lying when he said that he heard you say those things regarding your prior use?
100%. But I feel for him.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think he's trying to back up his old lady.
How has Lance Armstrong treated you following this incident?
Oh, I mean, how he has described me to people he presumed would never meet me is pretty amazing. Think of just any derogatory adjective, and basically, I'm nuts, just crazy. I'm really jealous. I'm hateful. I'm vindictive, I'm bitter. And so this has been a quest to clear my name because I never, ever, ever lied about anything, ever.
2 dias depois que Betsy e Frank Andrew deram declarações juramentadas, a Universidade de Indiana anunciou uma doação de $1,5 milhão e uma cadeira na diretoria de oncologia para o médico que tratou Armstrong pelo câncer. A doação veio da fundação de Lance, a Livestrong.
I just want to be clear. These are very separate issues. And I'm endowing and funding a chair for somebody who saved my life.
Durante a década de 90, ciclistas e suas equipes trabalhavam duro para encobrir o aumento crescente no uso de doping. O trabalho deles foi facilitado pelo fato de a eritropoietina, ou EPO, ser indetectável na época. Era uma droga tão popular que os atletas inventaram um termo para aqueles que não a usavam.
The translation was rotting on bread and water. And the Italian term is pan e agua. So I guess for the first few months of the 97 season, I was rotting on pan e agua, bread and water.
A revelação de Tyler Hamilton sobre o uso de drogas no ciclismo gerou manchetes em todo o mundo. Como muitos dos melhores atletas, Hamilton começou sem usar drogas, mas quando entrou na equipe de Lance, ele viu ciclistas veteranos recebendo tratamento preferencial. Eles ganhavam pequenas sacolas brancas de papel entre as corridas, e Tyler também queria uma.
The doctor at U.S. Postal Service said that, I had enormous potential. So basically, eventually when I was invited to when I was given my first white lunch bag, you know, it was a sign to me that they believe in me, they believe in my potential, and they believe in me, my long-term talent.
As sacolas de papel continham a droga EPO, que aumenta o nível hematócrito dos ciclistas.
Your hematocrit's a percentage of red blood cells in your body. Your red blood cells carry oxygen to your muscles. So basically, the higher your red blood cell percentage, the better your muscles are going to operate under stress. So in layman's terms, the more red blood cells you have, the faster you're going to ride a bike. You know.
So what was the doctor's solution to raising those levels?
Yeah, a couple months before, maybe a month and a half before my first Tour de France, it was EPO.
Segundo as regras da UCI na época, os atletas podiam ter nível hematócrito até 50%, mas nada além disso. Tyler Hamilton lembra que os médicos diziam aos atletas qual era a duração do efeito de cada droga.
You were given the limits on, what product would, how long you'd glow for, how long you'd test positive for. So as long as you played by what the team doctors told you, it was more or less pretty. At the time, it was pretty easy to pass these tests. I passed a couple hundred doping controls myself,
Quando Lance Armstrong entrou na equipe US Postal em 1998, após sua recuperação do câncer, ele dividiu o quarto com Tyler Hamilton.
Did you both talk about drugs together?
We did. It wasn't, every conversation wasn't about drugs, but yeah, we talked about it, behind closed doors, absolutely. 98, I was pretty green, and so I asked a lot of questions, and I learned a lot.
So he was quite open with you in
Tyler Hamilton diz que Armstrong era bem relaxado sobre onde guardava o EPO.
When I was at his house in Nice, France, I asked him for some, and he kindly said, yeah, no problem. And it was just on the inside door of his refrigerator, just in the box that it came in, and, a surprise that it was right there, kind of out in the open.
French police began investigations into Festina after banned drugs, including steroids, were found in one of the team cars on July 8th. Festina's doctor, Eric Reichhardt, was questioned and later charged under France's Anti-Drugs Act. The team's director, Bruno...
Com o início da Volta da França, em 1998, surgiu escândalo sobre doping entre os atletas.
It was pretty clear that there was a major problem. The French police are arresting team members or followers with industrial quantities of doping substances and equipment.
No ano seguinte, a Volta da França foi chamada de Tour da Renovação. As equipes estavam com medo das prisões, mas Lance Armstrong estava preparado, com um entregador chamado Motoman.
Motoman was this gardener/handyman for Lance Armstrong. The team I was on didn't carry performance-enhancing drugs. So to get EPO for the Tour de France, we came up with a plan, and the plan had Motoman involved, where he would follow the race, always stay within probably a half-hour drive of our motorcycle drive from our hotel. He basically had the container filled with EPO, and he would basically just wait for a phone call on a secret phone, and when he had to do a delivery, he'd do a delivery.
And Armstrong coming up now. Now, can he get off to a great start in the Tour de France? He is aiming at 8 minutes and 9 seconds. He's certainly ahead of Chris Bourman at this point. My goodness me, 8:02.51. Lance Armstrong with that performance, Paul, I think may have done enough. This is the only...
Foi aí que a lenda começou. No primeiro dia do retorno dele à Volta da França, Lance Armstrong venceu o prólogo. 3 semanas depois, menos de 3 anos depois de ser diagnosticado com câncer, ele venceu a primeira Volta da França da carreira, a primeira de 7.
He came back again and again and again, winning tour after tour, and he did it 7 times, and of course it's a record, and nobody's ever done it, and it's For many people, it was unacceptable. It was impossible to do that without taking drugs.
Well, what do you think?
I admit I've been very proud to commentate on Armstrong over these years, because I've seen a man, and I've seen how he's battled the elements, and I've seen how he's come forward, and I'm very sad. What do I think? Everybody else did it, so I find it very difficult not to think that Lance did it.
As provas sugerem que Lance Armstrong se dopava e muito. Tyler Hamilton declarou que após as corridas, ele, Armstrong e o companheiro de equipe Kevin Livingstone injetavam EPO na tenda da equipe, a metros de onde estava o público.
That was nerve-wracking because you were right there in the heart of the Tour de France, you know. Thousands and thousands of people hovering around the team camper, and we had this performance-enhancing drug, so I remember just trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible because, you know, there was one for Lance, one for Kevin, one for myself, and, you know, you quickly just stuck it in, got rid of it, and then it was quickly hidden away, typically in like a Coke can. All 3 vials would go into a Coke can and would crush it, give it to a team doctor to dispose.
Mas nem tudo ia de acordo com o plano. Lance Armstrong foi testado durante a competição e uma das amostras detectava nível significante de um corticoide proibido. Emma O'Reilly, uma das treinadoras da equipe, tinha como uma de suas funções fazer massagens em Armstrong após as corridas. Durante uma das massagens, ela diz que uma discussão urgente aconteceu entre Armstrong e um dos técnicos da equipe.
The conversation that was occurring really was, what are we going to do? Here's the problem. We need a solution, and how do we act upon the solution, and are we happy with the solution? So the problem was Lance had tested high in the cortisone. The solution was a potential prescription. What was the prescription for? Why was he taking it? Are we all happy with that? Yeah, we're happy with that. Right, let's go down then and speak to Luis, who's the team doctor, and get him to write the prescription.
O Dr. Luis Del Moral foi banido para sempre do esporte pela agência antidoping americana. Emma O'Reilly disse que o médico deu a Armstrong uma receita pré-datada de creme de cortisona para feridas.
Had he complained to you about saddle sores?
No. It wasn't about saddle sores. The whole thing was just a backdated prescription to help kind of explain his elevated cortisone level in the test of the prologue.
Of course, if he had been prescribed this cream, then it should have been listed as on the therapeutic use exemption.
Yeah, and it wasn't, because he wasn't taking the cream. You know, it was just purely backdated to cover up that cortisone elevation, yeah. The backdated prescription was rigged to suit the test.
Quando foi intimada a depor, Emma O'Reilly insistiu que suas lembranças eram claras.
Is there any doubt in your mind as to what happened and what you heard?
None whatsoever, at all. I can still, to this day, picture the whole scene vividly.
She was labeled a traitor by Lance Armstrong. She was told she'd never work in the business again by the Armstrong Group. We found her to be extremely credible on the issues in which, and the things she said she'd seen and done.
Lance Armstrong escapou da acusação de ter corticoides proibidos no sangue. Em 2000, foi introduzido um teste para a EPO. Tyler Hamilton diz que ele e Armstrong continuaram a se drogar usando doses menores, que passariam mais rapidamente pelo corpo. Era um tipo indetectável de doping, com transfusão de sangue. Nesse procedimento, era coletado sangue do ciclista, colocado num refrigerador e depois recolocado no corpo, aumentando o nível de hemácias dos atletas.
That seemed kind of sort of caveman-like, you know, taking out your own blood, and not seeing it for 3 or 4 weeks, and then getting it back in, reinfusing it back in.
Who was organizing all of that?
Lance and Johan Bernal and the Dr. Delamoral.
Tyler Hamilton diz que depois da 11ª etapa da Volta da França de 2000, ele, Lance Armstrong e Kevin Livingston reintroduziram o sangue, tudo supervisionado pelos técnicos da equipe.
We were in this small hotel. It was pretty wild. I arrived in my room and it was, the staff had sort of prepared everything, the doctors, and there was a blood bag taped up on the wall, hanging from the wall, and a red tube coming down, a tube filled with blood coming down, and basically, injected me here. I have pretty small veins, so the one place that always worked was right there, and you can see the scars today.
Tyler Hamilton diz que 3 outros atletas estavam no quarto ao lado, com a porta aberta.
Could you see Lance Armstrong?
Yeah. That question's been asked a lot. Yeah, I saw him. I saw his bag of blood and saw it in his arm, yeah.
Era risco enorme.
I'm glad we didn't get caught. I would have been... We all would have been. Serious stuff. And now looking back, oh my God, what was I doing? But you're so deep into it, you don't even have time to take a half step back and look at the big picture.
That would have included,
Em 2005, Lance Armstrong negou sob juramento ter recebido transfusão de sangue.
You've never used your own blood for doping purposes, for example.
Absolutely, that would be banned.
Okay. I'm not trying to agitate you. I'm just trying to make sure your testimony is clear.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
The whole point of blood doping is to increase the number of red cells in your circulation. The blood transfusions have the advantage of not being detectable. Even today, we don't have a foolproof method of establishing when an athlete has reinfused their own blood.
So does that mean that athletes now and cyclists now are transfusing their own blood back into themselves?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt that's happening.
Naquele mesmo ano, Lance Armstrong acaba a temporada aclamado, conseguindo a 7ª vitória consecutiva na Volta da França. Mas um mês depois, o EPO que Motoman havia entregado durante a primeira vitória no Tour voltava para assombrá-lo. Em um furo sensacional do jornal francês L'Équipe, Lance Armstrong era acusado de mentir sobre o doping.
Yes, and le mensonge Armstrong in French, it means that yes, he is a liar, but all his story is a lie. All his story. Yeah, a double sense in French.
Damien Ricciot, repórter investigativo do L'Équipe, havia escrito uma matéria alegando que o jornal tinha provas de que Armstrong havia tomado o EPO na Volta da França de 1999.
Sa victoire est lâchée catégorique et sale. C'est-à-dire que nous avons prouvé à l'Équipe qu'en 1999, il a gagné le Tour de France en prenant de l'EPO. C'est indiscutable. C'est scientifiquement indiscutable. D'ailleurs, lui-même ne l'a même pas discuté, puisque lorsque j'ai sorti mon travail d'investigation le concernant, aucun procès de sa part, alors que M. Armstrong est entouré d'une vingtaine d'avocats en permanence. Il n'a fait aucun procès à l'Équipe, aucun procès à moi. Il a juste dit « Non, c'est pas vrai, je n'ai jamais pris de PO », c'est tout. Mais nous savons, et c'est formellement avéré, qu'il a pris le PO en 1999.
No próximo bloco, vamos até a França visitar um laboratório especializado no combate ao doping. Foi lá que 6 amostras coletadas da urina de Lance Armstrong acusaram o uso de uma droga proibida, o hormônio eritropoetina, o EPO. O ciclista americano Lance Armstrong jura que nunca tomou drogas para melhorar o desempenho e que nos mais de 500 exames que fez durante a carreira, ele nunca teve resultado positivo. Mas a prova científica mais forte de que ele usava doping veio de um laboratório francês especializado. Foram encontradas evidências claras de eritropoietina, o EPO, em amostras que depois foram identificadas como de Lance Armstrong.
Durante a Volta da França de 1999, que Armstrong venceu, amostras de urina dos atletas foram enviadas para testes neste laboratório nos arredores de Paris.
So, what is this room?
This room is the EPO room. In this room, we perform the antidoping analysis for EPO.
Naquela época, não havia exame para EPO.
For the EPO test, the test for detection of EPO was developed in this laboratory. So I personally performed the development of this test. And it took a very long time. It took about 6 years to develop this test. And it was ready in 2000.
4 anos depois, como parte da pesquisa do laboratório, mas não como teste formal, as amostras de 99 foram reexaminadas e algumas tinham a droga proibida. 6 amostras dadas por Armstrong continham EPO.
Why was it only revealed years later that these samples belonged to Lance Armstrong?
It was only a coincidence of events. A journalist requested from the cycling governing body, the UCI, to have access to some of Lance Armstrong's doping control forms. The UCI voluntarily gave all of Armstrong's forms from that race to the journalist, who then cross-matched the lab numbers that were on those forms with the samples that had been analysed quite separately by the laboratory, and he was the one that matched the lab numbers to the samples that contained EPO. The lines here are a delineation between...
Mike Ashenden é o ex-especialista independente da UCI que ajudou a desenvolver o exame de sangue de EPO para as Olimpíadas de Sydney.
Which of these samples belongs to Lance Armstrong?
Well, if we go to the doping control form, we see 160297. And that corresponds with this sample here, 160297. And we see that for that sample, there was 100% basic isoforms, which tells us that the system was flooded with synthetic EPO when that sample was provided.
So at what stage in the tour was that taken?
That was the prologue. That was the first day of the 99 tour.
Is there any doubt in your mind that the positive results for EPO were scientifically correct?
Yes, they are scientifically correct.
Do you know whether or not the samples which have been identified...
Quando perguntado sob juramento, Lance Armstrong deu uma explicação diferente.
I can only believe that they either are not mine or have been manipulated, because when I pissed in the bottle, as I told you earlier, having never taken performance-enhancing drugs, when I pissed in the bottle, there was not EPO in that piss or urine.
Lance Armstrong, when he criticized those results, alleged that maybe those samples had been spiked or manipulated. Is there any truth in that?
No, it has no sense, because these analyses were performed for our research.
A União Ciclística Internacional nunca investigou Armstrong após a revelação do L'Équipe de que 6 das amostras continham EPO.
How did the UCI react to these results?
In a way that I feel ashamed of. Rather than open their doors and say, let's try and understand what's going on here inside of our sport, they instead, as far as I could work out, tried to shut the case down.
Should the UCI have acted on those results?
In my view, of course they should have. They had the power to say, all right, you doped, you're out.
Em outra ocasião, a UCI decidiu não agir. Tyler Hamilton alega que em 2001, Armstrong teve resultado positivo para a EPO.
luckily, we had the right people on our side.
Os exames ocorreram durante a volta da Suíça naquele ano. Tyler Hamilton diz que o conselheiro em doping de Armstrong, o médico italiano Michele Ferrari, havia mandado Armstrong tomar microdoses de EPO para garantir que o resultado não desse positivo. A agência antidoping americana diz que Armstrong pagou mais de $1 milhão pelos conselhos do médico, mas naquela ocasião deu errado.
He told me he had a positive test for EPO, which was very surprising because, it seemed like it was foolproof.
My understanding is that a sample had been provided and analysed by the laboratory, and they had found that there was evidence of synthetic EPO in that sample.
A UCI diz que as alegações de Tyler Hamilton são infundadas, mas menos de um ano depois, Lance Armstrong deu um cheque pessoal para a UCI de $25 mil e a empresa dele doou mais de $100 mil em 2005. Sob juramento, a lembrança de Armstrong sobre as doações era vaga.
You have made a contribution or donation to the UCI, have you not?
I have, yeah.
Do you know when that was made?
Some years ago, I don't recall exactly.
2000, for example?
I don't know.
Was it? Was there anything that occasioned that you recall? Like, I'm doing it because of X or Y or Z?
I'm doing it to fund the fight against doping.
For an athlete to be paying money to the people who police him it's unconscionable.
To have somebody who's at the center of the controversy make this kind of a donation to the organization that has the power to sanction him, it sets up an impossible conflict of interest.
No próximo bloco, você vai ver que a omissão da União Ciclística Internacional contribuiu para o aumento dos casos de doping no esporte. O ciclismo de estrada é uma das modalidades que mais exigem esforço do corpo humano. A pressão pelos resultados pode levar os atletas a se dopar. Depois do escândalo envolvendo o maior atleta da história do ciclismo, fica a pergunta: como o esporte pode limpar a imagem? Afinal, até mesmo a União Ciclística Internacional pode ter feito vista grossa para os casos de doping.
Lance Armstrong não está sozinho em casos de dopagem. Desde 1998, mais de um terço dos 10 finalistas da Volta da França esteve ligado ao doping. Mas a vontade da UCI de acabar com o mercado de doping é questionada por ninguém menos que o ex-diretor da Agência Mundial Antidoping, Dick Pound. Ele cita uma conversa que teve com o ex-presidente da UCI, Hein Verbruggen.
I said, Hein, you guys have a huge problem in your sport. He said, what do you mean? I said, the doping. Well, he said, that's really the fault of the spectators. And I said, I beg your pardon, it's the spectators' fault? Well, he said, yes. If they were happy with the Tour de France at 25K, it would be fine. But he said if they wanted it at 41, 42, he said the riders have to prepare. And I just shook my head and said, well, you heard it here first, you got a big problem.
Jörg Jaksche, ex-ciclista, também questiona o comprometimento da UCI com o fim do doping nas maiores equipes. Desde o começo da carreira dele, todos falavam que aquele sistema não funcionava.
The team manager, one day he took me by his side like a father, kind of a father thing, and said, listen, I have to explain you why it is that you're permanently dropped, and this is the solution. So if you want to do it, we can do it. Everyone in our team does it. The team pays for it. And so I was confronted with the situation that there is organized doping in cycling.
Jörg Jaksche e Tyler Hamilton foram descobertos quando, em 2006, a polícia espanhola encontrou com um médico em Madrid bolsas de sangue, drogas e documentos que os implicavam e a outros atletas. Depois, Jorg deu seu depoimento juramentado para as autoridades alemãs.
In the end, why did you decide to come clean?
I didn't like the hypocrisy in the sport. So the Operación Puerto, which was this Spanish drug operation, in which I was implicated also, and in which a lot of riders were implicated, they kind of showed me the real face of people running the cycling system. And the same people that first brought me to Fuentes or asked me to do EPO doping or use other performance-enhancing drugs, they were the same people that suddenly started a movement for the credible cycling and were pointing the finger at us riders. I don't have a chance to come back as an athlete, but...
Yaksha correu por diferentes equipes, mas quando se reuniu com a UCI para contar tudo o que sabia, eles não fizeram nada com as revelações.
As far as I know, no one of my team managers, of my team doctors, got questioned by the UCI. There was never written accusation, nothing. It's like having a deceased body, a dead body in your basement. It stinks a little bit after a while, and it's going to come up more and more and more. And one day the police is going to find it, and the information is there. The UCI did very little or nothing about it. So it's their problem if the basement stinks.
How has Tyler changed through all of this?
There's been a huge transformation. There's definitely a guard lifted, a weight lifted.
What do you think brought that about?
Telling the truth. Telling the truth.
Do you think that what he's done has been good for the sport?
Of course. I think you need to go back a little bit before you can go forward. So, I'm very proud of him.
Agora, mais do que nunca, não é a bicicleta que importa, é a verdade.
I was kicking and screaming when I had to tell the truth, but little did I know it was the best thing I ever could have done.
What Lance never had was the truth, which is more powerful than the corrupt athlete.
How could it have taken place?
Se Lance Armstrong vai dia confessar a dopagem é uma dúvida. Em 2005, as negações dele foram passionais.
How many times do I have to say it? I'm just trying to make sure your testimony is clear. Well, if it can't be any clearer than I've never taken drugs, then incidents like that could never have happened. Okay. How clear is that?
It was really hard for us to tell if Lance actually believed what he was telling and had convinced himself that he hadn't done these things, or that he was just a very persuasive liar.
O advogado Jeff Tillotson e a seguradora resolveram pagar o bônus a Lance Armstrong.
We had one problem. We had a bad contract. Our contract said we will pay him the bonus if he is declared the official winner of a Tour de France race, and he most certainly was. So that's why we ultimately stopped the case, made the payment, and waited until the regulatory agencies did their investigation.
Na cidade natal de Lance, Austin, no Texas, Estados Unidos, ele ainda tem muitos fãs. Na Mellow Johnny, a loja de bicicletas dele, os clientes acham que seu herói é inocente.
Lance passed 500 and some tests, right? Hasn't shown a positive yet, but, just as a big cycling fan myself and watching a lot of the races, some sort of cheating probably goes on and is probably pretty widespread, but that just kind of comes with the territory.
As 7 camisetas amarelas na parede da Mellow Johnny não devem ser retiradas tão cedo. Lance Armstrong diz que segue em frente e que não vai se desviar de seu trabalho na batalha contra o câncer. O risco não poderia ser mais alto.
I know the power of this man when he walks into the room, and I know the hope he gives cancer survivors. I mean, he can call up Barack Obama. He has his cell phone number on his cell phone. And how can you call up these people knowing that you've taken drugs all your life to cheat to 7 tours? It's a problem I wouldn't want.
If you have a doping offense or you test positive, goes without saying that you're fired from all of your contracts, not just the team, but there's numerous contracts that I have that would all go away.
Sponsorship agreements, for example.
All of them. And the faith of all the cancer survivors around the world. So everything I do off of the bike would go away too. And don't think for a second, I don't understand that. It's not about money for me. Everything. It's also about the faith that people have put in me over the years. So all of that would be erased. So I don't need it to say in a contract, you're fired if you test positive. That's not as important as losing the support of hundreds of millions of people.
Além de banir Lance Armstrong do esporte, a União Ciclística Internacional retirou todos os títulos conquistados pelo americano entre os anos de 99 a 2005. Isso inclui as 7 vitórias na Volta da França. Em agosto, o próprio Armstrong havia dito que não iria mais recorrer das sanções aplicadas pela agência americana antidoping. O escândalo fez com que os principais patrocinadores de Armstrong anunciassem que não renovarão os contratos. No viés econômico, o americano terá que devolver à Federação Francesa de Ciclismo cerca de R$2.700.000, referentes aos prêmios ganhos em provas organizadas pela entidade, como a Volta da França. Isso sem contar a possibilidade de o ex-ciclista ser processado nos Estados Unidos por evasão fiscal. Por fim, o ex-ídolo do esporte se desligou da Fundação Livestrong, que apoia pessoas com câncer.